Breaking news tonight, Baron Corbin is now on Monday Night Raw. News broken by JBL, WWE Hall of Famer, on the commentary desk with me, Kevin Patrick, and Corey Graves. Dolph Ziggler was over moments ago. He slapped the cowboy hat, and somehow you managed to stay in your seat.
Yeah, he can fight the hat. The hat doesn't fight back. Try fighting Baron Corbin, okay? That is the emergence of the modern-day wrestling god. That's the problem that right now Dolph Ziggler has.
And mark this night down on our calendars, Kevin Patrick, because we're going to be referring to it for years to come. The emergence of the new wrestling god, Monday night, October 17th, 2022.
You are witnessing the road to immortality, Shamrock.
I do love a good Shamrock choke. Chants of bum-ass Corbin ring out around the arena here in Oklahoma City.
Listen, we thought those chants left when the other goof did, okay? This is not the time to insult Baron Corbin.
I'm not insulting. Impartial journalist here.
Yeah, these Oklahoma fans just simply don't know any better.
Oh! Dolph Ziggler flattening Corbin.
Bat-like agility in the corner by Ziggler.
You might be stuck for words here in a moment, JBL, if Dolph Ziggler can see off Baron Corbin.
Yeah, and you might be knocked out and out of a job here in a moment, too.
Oh, don't do that to me again. Oh! Elbow drop right to the heart of the future wrestling god, Baron Corbin. And I noticed, JBL, you're not even sweating.
You're
not nervous. You're
all.
not concerned.
I've been working with Baron Corbin. I've been talking with Baron Corbin. I have absolute confidence in what he's doing. No disrespect to Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is great for this era. He's just not Baron Corbin.
Case in point. Look at this.
Uh-oh! A little fall-away slam.
The power, the pace of everything Corbin is doing tonight. Kick out by Ziggler.
The common vernacular back in the day had a little more flamboyant name for it. We'll just call it the fall-away slam.
Dolph Ziggler feeling all of the impact, courtesy of Baron Corbin.
I will say it is staggering up close to see the pace of someone so tall in Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin's a spectacular athlete. That's no secret to anybody. Oh no!
Corbin in trouble, big time trouble. Ziggler for the victory. Corbin kicks out.
Of course he does.
Not even a flinch on the face of JBL.
Of absolute confidence in Baron Corbin. It's a simple system. You constantly wear down your opponent. You're constantly aggressive, and you'll chase them to the ends of the earth if you have to.
We see Ziggler delivering the famous or not enough to keep Corbin down. That may have been Dolph's last gasp.
Dolph just gave Corbin everything he had, and Baron Corbin is standing.
This is not usual. Oh my God, a headbutt from Ziggler.
Effective too.
Dolph wanted the zigzag. Oh, baby!
Oh, here we go!
Deep six. Oh! Well, it looks as though Corbin's feeling a little frustrated, understandably so, after connecting with this thunderous deep six, driving Dolph's spine first into the center of the ring, but somehow the show-off survives.
Corbin always getting to his feet. Corbin always going forward.
Shut your mouth!
That is what a future world champion does. Yeah, mark that down, Shamrock.
Just
future world champion.
Coming from a former WWE champion.
And a Hall of Famer.
And a Hall of Famer.
John, I know you're not surprised we're in Oklahoma, but how do you feel about these disrespectful chants of bum-ass Corbin?
It's unbelievable to me what a certain person whose name I'm not going to mention, that you aptly took their place, started for Baron Corbin. It's just a matter of disrespect. Look, you hate what you can't be. A lot of these fans sit around and look around and say, I could be one of these guys. You could with half this roster. You can't be Baron Corbin.
Oh no! Zigzag connects. Keep looking at the monitor, Kevin. You saw nothing on this side of the table.
Nothing at all. He didn't
Moral
flinch at all.
support.
No.
From a wrestling god, a Hall of Famer, looking on as Dolph Ziggler hits a drop kick, avoids the boot of Corbin, and then wham! Zigzag takes Corbin down, but does not take Baron Corbin out.
Man, if you're Dolph Ziggler, what do? You got to be frustrated. You hit Baron Corbin
John,
with everything
don't look at the monitor.
you had.
I don't know why. We're going to talk to someone in the truck about that.
The whole world is against Baron Corbin. I understand what that's like. When I was carrying the company in 2004, the whole world was against me too.
Well, maybe it's because they want to see Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio.
I don't want to hear about Rey Mysterio. Talk about Baron Corbin.
Ziggler was lining up a super kick. Corbin sensed it coming.
Oh.
Ball game.
There it is.
Count to 100.
Days.
End of days.
Corey, it's great to see you. Not you, champ.
Pleasure to see you, John.
Baron Corbin. What a debut on Monday Night Raw. The emergence of a future wrestling god.
So you're buying it. You're buying every word that JBL is saying here.
Hell yeah, I'm getting in on the ground floor.
Look at Dolph. Dolph almost had it. He almost won.
But almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Tonight was not Dolph Ziggler's night. It was never going to be. Because the proclamation was made by a Hall of Famer, a current wrestling god, that Baron Corbin is the new force to be reckoned with on Monday Night Raw.
Hell of a match. And it's Corbin standing tall when it's all said and done. As Corey Graves, I can tell you folks, applauding Corbin. Baron Corbin is Monday Night Raw. Making a statement to the locker room.
Don't touch it! Don't touch it! Oh, I can't even look, Doc. Is it out of place? Is it shattered? Just do the surgery now. Put me under, please. Get rid of the pain.
Miz.
Oh, it's so bad.
Any update on whether or not you're still going to be able to face Dexter Lumis here tonight?
As you can see, I'm in an immense amount of pain. And no matter the diagnosis, I don't think I'm going to be able to compete tonight.
Well, it would seem you're incapacitated at the moment. However, a number of members of the custodial staff have come forward and claimed that they saw you pouring water on the floor and then sitting on it. And they also claim that you're the one who set up the wet floor sign. In fact, we checked the custodial records, and apparently the floor hasn't been mopped since last night.
Just seeing that I staged this whole accident. I made this whole thing up just so I could get out of the match. How dare you? I am very, very injured right now, and it hurts. And of course, they're gonna say I staged this whole thing, and they're trying to fabricate like an alibi because I have a huge lawsuit on my hand. So who are you gonna believe, me
Oh my
or some?
God, it's Dexter Lumis!
What?
My bad. Just Byron. Common mistake.
Wow, Miz. What a miraculous recovery. Looks like you can face Dexter Lumis tonight after all.
Yes, I will. It's like my superior DNA has allowed me to heal up faster than a normal human being, and that is unfortunate, but he shall not be named. Because he's the one that's going to be injured tonight.